my brother was calling. I had to hit the ignore button on him.
Gotcha.
And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk. This is our first video Fandom Talk. It's live. We're live right now. We're live on YouTube. We're live on the Fandom's Knowledge YouTube channel. I'm joined by the crew, as always. Got my man, Jeremy Branch behind the green screen. What's going on, Jeremy?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up, Malcolm and Kevin? Glad to be back. It's been a little bit.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. And I got my man, Kevin Garlington from Hustle Photography. What's going on, Kev?
Hey, what's happening? Happy to be here. First time going live on anything, so I'm excited. I'm excited about today.
We go live with important stuff. We don't go live with little baby walking down the hallway. We don't go live with the car accident we seen in the neighborhood. We go live with important stuff. So we're going to get right into it today. We're going to start doing these a little bit more often, not every single week, because it takes a lot to corral all of this together. So let's get started with today's talks. First of all, I'm going to shoot this over to Kevin because he's a big Hellboy fan. Ron Perlman says that he does not want a cameo in the new Hellboy movie. He feels like, hey, let these guys have their fun, and it is what it is. Kevin, what you think about that?
I think that's right. You know, I feel like if maybe if Hellboy and Hellboy 2 were 20 years old or something like that, and this was the type of thing where fans were calling for, hey, we need another Hellboy movie or whatever, you make a cameo. Ron Perlman didn't get a chance to make the third Hellboy movie, and he wanted to make it, by the way. You know, the studio and everybody, and plus the box office receipts from the first two maybe didn't quite warrant, you know, that third film. So I can see him just saying, hey, look, let those guys have their thing, and then I'll move on. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Okay. Jeremy, what's your thoughts on Ron Perlman not wanting the cameo?
You know, I think about, like, Ghostbusters, the remake that just now came out, and how those obligatory cameos really don't do much for it. I'm not saying they take away from it, and it's always cool to me to see, you know, Bill Murray or Ernie Hudson or Iron Right. Anyways, moving.
Yes.
He is? Oh, man. Sorry to the family if you guys are listening live right now. We'll edit it out in post. But anyways, yeah. I feel like unless there's a reason why Ron Perlman, the actor, should be in it, there's really not a reason to have Ron Perlman, the cameo, in it. I would have loved to see Hellboy 3 by Guillermo del Toro, but I honestly kind of feel like I'd rather see this version just because we got two of those other films. So I'm eager to see what the reboot ends up looking like.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, another thing we wanted to talk about was our first look at Domino in Deadpool 2. Now, I looked at it, I was like, okay, looks pretty cool. But this is what I took from it. They're making her, now she's being played by an African-American, her to be a Caucasian female. And the patch over her eye looks more to me like a birthmark than necessarily a makeup artist, or however, you know, how it looks. Jeremy, what do you think about the first look at Zazie Beetz as Domino?
Oh, crap. Can you guys see me?
We can hear you, man. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
You can?
Live, everybody. We're not editing nothing. This is live.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back in it. My camera.
We're doing it live, baby.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so yeah, I like the look of it. I've never been in a position where I really felt like a character. It never really crossed my mind with other casting how different of a look they were going for with it, and I feel like what Domino is essentially, it doesn't really matter if she is lily white or a dark-skinned girl or anything in between. It's really about the casting. I don't want to steal Kevin's thunder, but you know, he's made a good point several times about casting. So I really think it goes to the performance more. But when I did see her, my first instinct, you know, like literally was, that doesn't look like Domino. But then you kind of, you know, you got to step back from that and realize that, like, Hugh Jackman doesn't look like Wolverine. There's so many examples of this, and it worked out fine. So, yeah, I'm eager to see Deadpool 2 in general. So I'm looking forward to it.
Kevin, what's your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, to echo some of what he said, it is about getting a great actress or actor to play the part, and the performances, stand alone. I think for all of us, though, because Domino has white, like paper towel white skin in the comic books, like beyond any, shade of white anybody is walking around this planet, pretty much, even whiter than an albino.
Right.
So for all of us, even if they had cast, let's just say they cast a Caucasian actress with a black patch of skin over her eye, we still were gonna have the same reaction because it's just not, what we used to with the character. So I'm saying it to say I agree with Jeremy. It's just like, look, either way, unless they were gonna take somebody and make them as milky white as possible,
right,
you were gonna have this type of scenario and this type of situation. But I will tell you this. I have watched her on Atlanta. She is the lead female on Atlanta. It's not like she had a whole lot to do in this first season, but she did have some moments. I want to put that out there. But the show's not about her. She is a great actress, and God, she's beautiful. So they got me right there. And you know what? It wasn't until the second time I looked at the picture and I realized that she is sitting on top of a Deadpool rug, if you will.
Right.
I didn't even catch that the first time I saw it. I was looking at her. She is that fine.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. So I like it. I like the casting. I like the look. Can't wait to see it.
So, like I said, would y'all all agree that it did have like that natural look? Almost like maybe she was born this way or something like that?
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. I think both of you guys kind of touched on it. It is going with a natural complexion and a natural look as opposed to something that is less natural, more fantastical, if you will. So I think that the approach that they're taking really falls in line with what you were, kind of theorizing, that it is more of a maybe she was born that way. Maybe it's makeup. We'll see, but it does seem more like a birthmark, I think.
Or maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe she's born with it.
well, let me say this real quick before we move on, though. This is part of the X-Men franchise, if you will. I mean, which is going to turn into the Deadpool franchise. Remember, they are super reluctant to let people look how they look in the Marvel X-Men universe, if you will. Either you're blue or you look a little bit off, like the little lizard kid and Logan and, the little stuff they've done here and there. But they haven't had any fantastical looking mutants really walk through these movies for real. So I think that's kind of along the same lines of, like you said, Malcolm, I'm agreeing with you. They're going to take and just make that like a birthmark and just make it something you just kind of go on from there. And that's it,
Now, the third thing we want to talk about real quick, just when we thought everything was getting good, just when we thought we were on the up and up, some more bad news from DC. Suicide Squad 2 director has dropped out. Now, we know they came out with a big slate of movies about 1.5 years ago. Now they're going back to the drawing board and they've got a new slate of movies. So we got Shazam, Wonder Woman 2, Suicide Squad 2. What else am I missing? Flashpoint. They have the Batman trilogy, Batgirl. So those are the movies that are slated right now. The director for this has dropped out. The new director, I think his name was Jean Collet-Serra. He's dropped out. And it's like, it's okay. Still gonna calm down, but it's like, I felt like DC was on this path, this train where they were slowing down, figuring stuff out. Kevin, what do you think happened?
Well, let me back up for a second. I want to do a quick fact check with you guys so I can understand. Now, I thought I read that David Ayer is still doing Gotham City Sirens. Is it official that he's dropped out now?
I don't want to say he dropped out. And they came out with this list. And the movies I named were the movies that are on their list that are coming out. Gotham City Sirens was not on their list.
Okay, right. I understand what you're saying. Okay, I got you. Okay. I was trying to see if I missed some information. Okay, got it. So with Collet-Serra or whatever, this is what I read, and this is what my research showed me. There are some news outlets who are a little bit premature in saying that he signed on to direct the film. he was in talks and the film was his if he wanted it. There were 3 scripts put in front of him. Suicide Squad, this Jungle River boat ride, that's a ride at Disney that The Rock is gonna, make this movie. And there's a third one that they won't say what the third one was. They said when it all came down to it, he chose to go ahead and do the movie with The Rock. Now, that's what my research led me to believe. And I'm gonna tell you this right here. I'm not necessarily saying that the script for Suicide Squad 2 is bad or that there's any problems with it. What I'm saying is you got Disney versus Warner Brothers, and you got The Rock in something brand new. You're not trying to climb out of a hole from what David Ayer created and dealing with Will Smith and Margot Robbie and Jared Leto and all that. You don't have to deal with that. You can go with The Rock and do an action adventure film that's gonna make $1 billion worldwide. Man, I would be out of there too. I just think it's one of those things. It's bad news for DC, don't get me wrong. And I'm only saying bad news because they have another director who's seen the left. But that guy isn't somebody that I'm like, oh my God, they just lost the best director that they had.
Sure.
Right? Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, So that's my take.
Yeah. What you think about it, Jerry?
Yeah, I actually am a little bit of a fan of Juan Collet-Serra's. He did the movie The Shallows, and I enjoyed that pretty good. He also did House of Wax, and that was, not so good. But I thought he showed promise with The Shallows. So as far as specifically losing that director, he still doesn't have the clout. I kind of got to go with what Kevin says, that, I like one of his movies, but the fact that he's not attached to the project it's not going to hurt my feelings. So
right.
Rest where where this whole Warner Brothers constant issues seem to come out of, and that's that they announce these projects. We've talked about it before. They announce these projects so far out that we have to go through the play-by-play of every single thing that happens. They announced one slate, it didn't work for them. They revised it. They announced another slate. And Malcolm, you kind of said it right. It seemed like they were trying to, steer the ship, and to make the changes that were going to, after Wonder Woman, we were all hoping for the best, but it seems like they still are running into the same time again. And until I see any of these movies, I don't buy it. You know what I mean? I want to see the fact that they've got a finished product and that it's edited and that they're about to put it out. That movie's coming out. But until then, I can't take any seriously, unfortunately. So that's my take on it. I mean, that's part of my take on it. The rest of my take is that it just seems like, and not to take away from with what Wonder Woman did, I thought that was a good way to handle it. But Malcolm, you there? Hey, there he is.
Oh, that was hilarious.
I didn't even say anything afterwards. That's what's unfortunate.
I'm here. I'm here. Another thing that dropped, and it's something I want to talk to you all about. Will Flashpoint change the DCEU, or will it be a... What's your thoughts, Jeremy?
Yeah, Malcolm, I think you cut out for a second. Say that again.
Will Flashpoint change the DCEU, or will it just be a movie titled Flashpoint?
I'll jump in there on this one. So, yes, it will change the DCEU, and I'll tell you how. The beautiful part of Flashpoint is, if you read the comics, once Barry goes back to his time, certain things are altered. It doesn't go back to normal 100%. So the beautiful thing for Warner Brothers with Flashpoint is any part of the DCEU that isn't working, they can change it at that point. So you could theoretically have Barry go back, do some stuff, come back, and then Armie Hammer is Batman now instead of, it being, Ben Affleck. So I'm not necessarily saying that in a certain regard that I know 100% what's going to change or whatever. I can tell you without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, the one thing that ain't going to change is Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot is going to be right where she needs to be. I mean, but
yeah,
if I'm an executive or if I'm somebody that's in charge like Jeff Johns or whatever, I'm looking at this whole thing and saying, what's working and what's not working? Okay, we need a new Batman because Affleck doesn't want to do it anymore. Perfect chance to write him out, or do whatever. Now, I don't want to add fuel to that rumor because supposedly Ben Affleck just signed to do the trilogy of the Batman trilogy or whatever. So supposedly he doubled down and he's going to be there for that. But I'm just saying that there's some things that could change. And think about it. If you were 4 or 5 movies into your cinematic universe and you had a surefire way that you could kind of course correct and it be kind of in line with the films and it's a soft reboot for certain people, wouldn't you take it? I would. If I needed to course correct, and we all know on this call they damn sure need to course correct. So.
And that's an interesting point that I feel like X-Men, we kind of mentioned it earlier. X-Men is another property that's kind of done that same thing where they don't necessarily stick with the same timeline, stick with the same cast, any of those things as they did before. And the one thing that I'm concerned with, and we saw it with X-Men Apocalypse, is that what if after they reset the timeline, it's still not good? And I mean, I guess that's just a hypothetical thing. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we good. I think you made a good point. I don't want to cut Malcolm off, but I do want to jump in there and respond to what you said. The problem with Fox and X-Men is once you reset and reboot, you don't go get the same director with the same ideas to come back.
Sure.
If you're going to do that, and if you're going to reset the universe, reset it and then move on. And I think that's one of their biggest problems is they went back and got Bryan Singer again. Like, no, this is when you go get Joe Carnahan or Mel Gibson. Or, I'm just throwing names out. Go get whoever to come and do the film, not him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, one of the last things we want to talk about real quick, they got 2 Netflix movies that are dropping. Message from the King, Chadwick Boseman, movie that I'm really excited about called What Happened to Monday. Now, we've all watched the trailer. I saw the What Happened to Monday trailer, and I'm very intrigued about this universe. Universe where siblings don't exist. If there are more than one of us, somebody's going to die. There's only one of them going to be left. So you have this father who has 7 daughters, and he's doing what he can to keep every last one of them alive. So each daughter goes out on her specific set day. She takes on the identity of her or whoever she is and does the same thing. So if it was me, Jeremy, Kevin, we're all named Joseph. I go out on Monday and I go to work at the steel mill. Jeremy, he goes out on Tuesday. He goes to work at the steel mill. On Wednesday, he work at the steel mill. All conclusive together, doing the same thing over and over again until something happens to Monday. So let's talk about the What Happened to Monday trailer. Kevin, what did you think about it?
Hey, I think it looked phenomenal. And we see Noomi Rapace. She's playing 7 different characters, and if you didn't catch on what Malcolm was saying, there's one identity, but 7 people sharing that identity. Everybody gets their own day of the week. So we've seen this type of acting from Tatiana Maslany with Orphan Black, where she's playing several different roles every week. I think this thing is going to be great. Netflix is crushing it, and I want you guys to pay attention to what's going on with Netflix and the film festival circuit, if you will, because there's been a lot of smoke out there about Netflix and their contention for awards and being at film festivals because they're a streaming platform. And there was once something screened and the film critics started booing or whatever when they said Netflix presents. And I'm telling you, Netflix is about to decentralize the movie industry in more ways than one, and it's already starting because Amazon has their own content, Hulu has their own content, but none of them are doing movies like Netflix is right now. But it's gonna, I think Amazon's right on the cusp of that. So it's going to change up. And I'm saying it on the cusp of these two trailers talking about these because we didn't just see B-movie trailers. These two trailers that we're discussing right now look like top-notch. I'm going to pay $8 to sit in my seat and eat popcorn and watch this film. Quality trailers. So just mark my words, Netflix is about to change the game, and people are pissed off about it.
Jeremy, what do you think about what happened to Monday?
Yeah, I think Noomi Rapace is really good. For people that aren't familiar with her work, she was in the Swedish version of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, and she was really good in it. She also was in Prometheus. She was the lead. Her name was Shaw in Prometheus, and she's really good. She's got a great screen presence and really is able to have a wide range as far as acting goes. The concept of it is kind of interesting. They're not naturally born siblings, right? They're like clones or something. Is that right?
I think so.
They were naturally born.
Ah, interesting.
Oh, okay.
They were in the trailer. In the trailer, they were all. He had 7 daughters in the hospital.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that part, but it looks like I don't want to say John Wick, but like a Jason Bourne kind of elements to it. The way that the action was shot, it does look like to have a lot of action in it, and each of the different siblings is a very distinctive personality. They're kind of different archetypal characters. You've got the hacker, you've got it's the only example I have, but there's other ones like the hipstery one with the glasses and some other ones. But
it's probably a gay one and a left-handed one.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I feel like maybe Netflix isn't hitting it out of the park as much as we'd like to think they are, because the bad ones, I don't want to say get swept under the rug, but people don't talk about them for that long. There was that Brad Pitt movie that came out. It wasn't incredibly well received. I know that there have been TV shows that weren't all that well received, but for the most part, Kevin, when you say they're changing the game, yes, streaming platforms is the future. And I don't know, a lot of people would like to say that the theater experience isn't replaceable. And maybe it's not for me and you and Malcolm, people who talk about this stuff day in and day out. But if 5% of us, which is how many they say are actually into kind of the film punditry community, if 5% of us are the only ones going to movie theaters, they can't afford to keep the lights on. So like it's going to take it still being a profitable thing without increasing popcorn costs to $15 a bucket and drinks to $10 each, and the concession stands where it gets hit the hardest because these movies cost $120 million to make and the same amount to market. So it's high stakes now. And I just think that with Netflix and these streaming platforms that are able to make a good season of TV out of maybe, I can't only speculate. Do you guys know what the budget is for a T series?
Not for this movie, no.
I don't.
Yeah, I know Game of Thrones like $100 million for a. Kevin, do you know?
Yeah, so Game of Thrones is over $100 million a season. I know that for a fact. But that for those TV shows they do on Netflix, I'm not sure what they spend, but I can tell you this: every one of them that has been super expensive, like Marco Polo, which was a good show on it, I really liked it, whatever. They have been going back crunching the numbers, and they got rid of a lot of the high-end expensive ones. So when you have that 1 camera or 2 camera sitcom on a set somewhere, Netflix will give you 5 seasons because it's cheap to shoot. But when you start going on location and need horses and all this and that, you're gonna be on a chopping block. So you're right. You're spot on what you're saying.
And that's kind of the whole idea of it is that they don't have to put big stakes into it. They can make relatively micro budget, have to worry about it. What I've always still been unclear of, and we might have talked about this before, but is how does Netflix monetize ratings? Like, does it matter if Iron Fist gets 1 million views and Glow only gets 1 million views? Does that change anything? Is it quantifiable in some? What does it matter? I guess is what I'm asking.
That's a really good question. I mean, they kind of keep that close to the chest. We never know. Yeah, we never know what the viewership is, but they do this though. When the Marvel TV shows come out or whatever, if it crashes a server or there's a delay, you know, every news agency gets that report, which is coming straight from Netflix. I don't know if I buy it all the time. Like, I don't buy that Iron Fist crashed the server after everybody rated it a crap show. I don't buy that at all.
No,
not at all, Malcolm. Not at all. We're not buying it. Not buying it.
Somebody hacked the server and tried to crash Netflix.
Yeah. Or somebody spilled some coffee on that shit. That's what happened. Yeah.
Hey, did you guys hear that HBO got hacked?
I heard about that, man. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of information about it, but from what I heard, it made the Sony hacks look like, small potatoes.
Yep. The initial report just talked about somebody getting their hands on a few of the scripts for Game of Thrones from this season. And then I guess they went back and saw what all they touched and realized that no. That was one file of many. You know what I mean? So it's ridiculous, dude. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy. I'm like, nice. That's just crazy that they were able to get away with it and hack into that system. You would think there was security in place to prevent this from happening. But anyways, I guess that's a different conversation. I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Trump. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. That's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So we're gonna jump to this other Netflix trailer called Message from the King. And it's got my man Chadwick Boseman in it. And I can't watch the trailer and not think about Black Panther or the child. I just can't.
Of course.
I just can't. Because it says, telling the king sent you. I said, yeah, the king of Wakanda, goddamn. I'm like, I can't watch the trailer without thinking about Wakanda. And I look at this, my mind turns it into, what if this is a prequel and he was an adopted son of Wakanda and this happened before, and now with this happening, then he becomes the Black Panther and then he jumped, that's what my mind goes. Maybe this is a prequel to everything, and why after he defeated all these people who killed his sister, he stumbles upon the advanced civilization of Wakanda and becomes the king. And that's just my mind. But Jeremy, what did you think about this trailer?
I'm buying your movie, man. We'll get it made.
We gotta get it made.
$5 million. Let's do it. No,
Message from the King, prequel to Wakanda.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. That's exactly my joke. Was I hope he doesn't get typecast as somebody with a straight up African accent, because it's very hard to separate him from this really iconic role. Black Panther is a huge property, and it's attached to the Marvel brand and all of this. And then when you see him, his hair is the same. His accent is, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's pretty freaking similar. And
it's not.
Huh? It's not the same?
It's not.
I'll talk about it in a second. Yeah.
But it looks dope. I like what I saw of it, but yeah, that was the one thing that stuck in my mind first. It's like, man, this is a lot like Black Panther, but it's really not. Yeah. It looks more edgy and much more, it looks like it's going to go dark. I saw a bomb getting hooked up at one point. It looks like it's going to have more like Dirty Harry elements to it or something like that, or vigilante style. But yeah, I'm interested. I think it looks good.
Kevin, what's your thoughts, man?
Man, I think it looks great. I think this is like Man on Fire meets John Wick, meets Coming to America. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, with the accent though, with Wakanda, they kind of created that accent in a way. Again, it's based off, several different African accents, but this accent here is a little bit different. And if you listen to it, the inflection's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, to the average person listening to it and looking at it, look, it's Chadwick Boseman playing the dude from Africa. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to split hairs with his accent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Even down to the jacket that he's wearing in the trailer.
Right.
You know like, if you just look at it, man, it's crazy. So I'm agreeing with both you guys. I'm like, I'm getting Black Panther vibes from this thing or whatever. I'm like, man, it's crazy because if you go and you do some history on T'Challa or whatever, he got an American education. You know what I mean? He spent some time in America. And he's a genius. You know what I mean? He's up there with Tony Stark or whatever. So it's just like, damn, did he come to America like this? You know what I mean? So it's fun to think about, just have a little fun with it. But in all actuality, you look at these films and we have no idea when Chadwick Boseman shot this film. And a lot of times these guys will do these movies, man, and they'll get shelved. That movie could be 2 or 3 years old, right? Somebody found out he did it.
It looked like it.
And Netflix said, hey, send me that over here. And also, too, somebody that worked on that film could have said, have y'all heard this guy's accent? Have you seen this guy? He needs to be Black Panther.
Right. Yeah.
He got his job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It looked like it looked like that film. It looked like that film wasn't filmed no time recently.
We don't know, but I can tell you this. With him filming Black Panther, having done Civil War and all the other films that he's done, his schedule looked a little lighter a few years ago, which would lead me to believe that this may be one of those times, Jeremy, that they may have shelved a movie, you know what I'm saying, and bought it out a little bit later on.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time.
I've kind of heard people kicking around the theory that maybe Netflix gets the bottom of the barrel to speak of like, for example, The Irishman by Martin Scorsese, it's the new movie that he did with De Niro, Pacino, Joe Pesci, and all of that. And it's possible that he went and shopped it around to all of the different studios and that nobody took the bait. And then Netflix is like exactly what you said. We'll take that off your hands. We'll put it out there. People are consuming this content anyways. They'll just probably put it in with the rest of everything else. And that comes back to the thing of like, what does it matter?
No, you're right.
Look that.
Yeah, and one thing I do know, and I'll share this with everybody that's watching this or listening, is that when you look at when a film goes to a film festival, let's say me, Malcolm, and Jeremy make a film, and we spend $50,000. We want to sit down with distributors or whatever who want to distribute our film or buy our film from us or whatever. And, we're trying to make $200,000 so all of us can take home $50,000 a piece, you know what I mean, and put the original money back that we borrow, right? Well, you have to look at when they buy a film, and you can look this up, look up the story of Kevin Smith talking about Miramax buying Clerks. You have to look at what, they'll make you an offer and they'll buy your film, but the back end on the studio is this, and this is where Netflix is different. They're not really spending money on advertising these films. They spend money on advertising their service. So if they give me, $500,000 for my film or whatever, there's really no advertising costs. Like you said, they go in there and they get it. I just wish I could understand how their, what their model is. But I will say, Brad Pitt, Will Smith, Noomi Rapace, Chadwick Boseman, and you got a countless others are on their shows on Netflix or whatnot. I think
A-list.
Yeah, they are attracting a lot of A-list talent over there, so they're doing something right. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So to clarify and to clear up exactly what we were saying, Kevin, your theory looks like it's real true. Y'all ready for this?
Okay.
In November 2014, Chadwick Boseman joined the cast as Jacob King.
That's crazy.
This movie was released at the Toronto Film Festival back September last year.
Was 2014 had to have been before he was cast as Black Panther?
Way before.
Way before. I was in Florida in 14. I hadn't even moved out here yet.
Right. That's wild. So
way before.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And this film got shot around to some film festival.
Another dead giveaway. Yeah. Look at his size in the trailer. That guy's been pretty. He's been pretty jacked since you've seen him play Black Panther. He's been pretty jacked. I've seen him in interviews and everything.
Yeah.
You look at the size; he's small, and I don't see him yo-yoing in weight like that. Like some guys do it, but
Christian Bale, that dude will do it.
Yeah. Oh man, that guy, man. Wow.
He's good.
Batista's another one too. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen. Dear God, I can't even believe I'm about to admit I watched this film. The latest Was it Bloodsport? Is the kickboxer, one of those Van Damme movies where they remade it or whatever, and the kid was going to train with Van Damme. It's the most recent one.
No, I didn't see
Batista's the bad guy in that film, man, and he's like he lost about 50 pounds. He was ripped, but he wasn't big. It was kind of impressive. It was kind of impressive. He does two completely different physiques for Guardians and for that film. It was kind of cool.
That's
and the movie was trash, by the way.
He was big as heck in 007 too.
Yeah, he was.
Dude's freaking yoked. Anyways.
Yeah. Sorry about
that. You got two other people in this movie too. You got Tom Felton from Harry Potter, and you got Alfred Molina that was Doc Ock.
Yeah.
So there's some names in this movie. But guys, we do appreciate you joining us on this live broadcast. It will be uploaded to the Phantoms Knowledge YouTube channel. We had some fun. We had some technical difficulties every now and then, but that's what happens when you go live. So we're working. We got new background going on. We got some new stuff going on with Phantoms Anonymous. Jeremy, what's going on over there at Be Terrible Production?
That banner looks good, dude. I like that. But yeah, you can check me out at Be Terrible Movies. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Jeremy Be Terrible. Hit me up on Facebook if you want to at Be Terrible Movies. No, Be Terrible. That's all you got to type in. That'll get you to me. It's been fun doing the live thing, guys, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Signing up.
And we're waiting. I think Malcolm froze in there. Well, anyway, hey, this is your boy Kevin Garton. You can find me at Hubster Pricks. I'm not gonna do this long-winded thing or whatever. So unless Malcolm gets back on, I'm hanging up.
Yeah, dude, it's been fun. Malcolm, you there? And we're gonna call
it. All right.
I'm here.
What up? You still there?
Oh,
hey, what's up?
I just stopped it.
Yeah, I think we lost each other. Yeah, I think we lost each other. I guess I'll.
Something.
Huh? Yeah, it cut out, but we all signed off, man. So you probably just need to tag an outro to it when you upload it on your channel. Are we still live right now?
You said what now?
Are we still live right now? Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'll get off, man. I'll talk to you soon.
No, I don't think so. All right.